What's up guys, this is Twan with R4T. In this video we are going to be showing how to take off your front bumper and how to install the R4T behind grille air compressor mount. So this is what we will need for the kit to work. We will need an ARB dual air compressor. These two are optional. You can get the pump up kit, or if you have another way to air up your tires, you can do that as well. But you will need at least the coupler in the kit. They do sell that by themselves. We'll have that in the link if you guys want to just get the coupler. And then I always like to have the cap as well. So the cap will come in the pump up kit, but if you get just the coupler alone, don't forget to get the cap as well. So this is going to be everything that comes in the kit. First, we have the lower bracket and the hardware for that. The back piece for the lower bracket. We have the upper bracket with the back piece for it and all that hardware. And then the valve or the coupler bracket and the hardware for that. You will also get VC3 in the kit, and you will want to apply this to every single bolt that comes in this kit. And we do that because the compressor vibrates so much that we don't want anything to come loose. So don't forget to apply VC3 to all of the bolts. So this is how I have it laid out, so that way all the hardware is in front of the bag, so that way I don't get them mixed up. But as you can see here, most of the hardware is the same. All these are the same. There's a single one that is a little bit longer, and then there are the silver ones. The silver ones are going to connect the lower bracket to the compressor itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply just a small amount to each bolt. And we want to do this very first thing just because this needs time to dry, and by the time you get your bumper off, all of this should be dry. First thing, let's get the hood popped. Then let's get the hood opened. The very first thing that we need to remove are going to be these plastic clips that will allow you to remove this plastic cover. To do so, you can push it down with your finger, and then with a flathead or a pry tool, you can get under that and lift it up and remove. We're going to do this to all of the clips that hold this plastic cover in place. With all of your plastic clips removed, you can now remove your plastic cover. Now there is a couple 10mm bolts that we will need to take off. There's going to be this one that hold the grill together, and then we will take these two off as well, because we'll need to take those off anyways in a later step. So we'll take all three of these off. There are two plastic clips right here and right over here that we will need to take off as well. These ones are not pushed down. These you have to pry up. So using a flathead or a pry tool, wedge it in there and pull it up, and it'll look like that. Gonna do the same to the other side. There are going to be two 10mm that we will need to take out in order to remove the bumper. Looking straight down, you will see two of them, and with a ratchet or a drill with an extension, you'll be able to get these two out. Now, looking kind of inside the upper grill, there are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 plastic clips, very similar to the ones that we popped up from right here. So what we need to do with a pry tool or a flathead, we're going to pop all of them up. Then we're just going to pull all of them out. Now towards the front wheels where the bumper is, there's going to be 3 screws that we need to take out. They are all 10mm, so we'll just pull them all out. Then we're going to repeat this step on the driver's side. Now we are underneath the vehicle. There's going to be 1 screw right there by the front driver's side tire. And then there should be another one here. This 4Runner doesn't have one, but if yours does have one, take that one off as well. And then there's going to be a bolt right here, and you can see it connecting to the front bumper And then there will be another one on the passenger side. And then just like the driver's side, there should be one here where there's a plastic white screw head sticking through. And then lastly, that one on the passenger side. Now we are ready to take the bumper off. So this is a pretty important step because a lot of people just pull straight out, but there is a little nub that sticks through that hole. So what we need to do is go pull it out and around it. And then now we can pop it off like that. And then these should come off and stay on the fender wheel wells themselves. Then we're gonna do the same thing on the driver's side. And if it does come off with a bumper, we can always remove it and put it on the fender, the wheel well, or you can just leave it and then we'll slide it back on later. It doesn't really matter. Now we are going to pull the whole bumper off. Starting on the sides, we'll wiggle it loose. It'll start to have a gap over here. Repeat that step to the other side. And if your vehicle is equipped with fog lights, make sure you disconnect that on the driver's side first. And then this bumper will come off. So with our bumper off, I'm able to show you what the fog light connection looks like. So if you have a newer 4Runner that has LED fog lights, this is what your connection will look like. And you can disconnect this after you have removed your bumper from the wheel wells. That way you can reach in there and press this button and disconnect it. If you have an older 4Runner, they will have a connection on both sides, one on the passenger, one on the driver. So just make sure you guys disconnect it. That way you can pull the bumper away from the truck. Okay, so now let's open up our compressor, which is probably the coolest part of this whole thing. All right, and it's heavy too. So set this off over here. But this is it. This is our Araby twin. This is pretty much the size of it. What we are going to need is the bracket for the lower bracket. So the compressor will go in like so. On the back side of it, we'll have some holes. There'll be 4 holes on top and 4 on the bottom. Make sure your compressor is reading the right way and it's not upside down. On the back side, we are going to connect our bracket. So make sure this is going to be on the front side of it. So since the front side is upside down, we're going to flip this upside down as well. There will be an arrow showing you where up is with a washer and a silver bolt. We're going to connect our bracket to the compressor. Once you have all 4 bolts started, grab your 4mm Allen head, and then we're going to fully fasten the bolts to the lower bracket. Now we are going to take out these 2 bolts here, 10mm over here and 1 over here. We're going to do so that way we can move this out of the way to get the compressor in. There is also a 10mm on top here that holds this plastic bracket for the AC line. So we're going to need to remove that as well. Once you have that bolt removed, there is some plastic clips that you kind of have to squeeze together to release this plastic bracket. So using a pick, we're going to move that towards the inside. And there's going to be 2 of them, but ours has broken on the right side. So you need to pinch it together and then it'll release from this hole. So now we can install our bracket. So we're going to come in angled and then we're going to turn it slightly and then rotate it back, and then we're going to set it on this ledge and then it should hold itself in place. Now we are going to need the bracket and the hardware from this bag, which ends in 2. We are going to go behind this piece here, and then we want the flat side towards us. On the back side there's going to be a raised side. So go in the back, I'm going to slide that over like so, and then it should stay up by itself. Now we will need the 2 bolts from the same hardware bag. There is going to be 1 threaded hole. We're not going to be using that one. There's going to be 2 empty holes next to that threaded factory hole. So what we're going to do, reach our hand to the back just to hold the back plate in place. And then we are going to line up the compressor and then start threading the bolt in. Once we have that first one started, we can adjust if needed to line up the second hole, and then we can lift the compressor just to line up the bolt with the back plate in the back, and then we'll get that started as well. Then we are just going to snug these down. We don't want it to be fully tightened just yet, but we also don't want it to fall out as well. Now we are ready to remove this plastic cover, and all we need to do is just pull it straight back and it'll just come off with 2 clips. Now we are going to need the hardware bag that ends in 3 and the upper bracket. Now we are ready to install the upper compressor bracket. We are going to be using the square hole and the circle hole. Grab the bracket, we'll slide it under the plastic bracket that we removed earlier, and we'll just place it right there. Then with the back brace in the same bag, we are going to slide it up underneath this metal frame. Using our other hand, we will use it to line up right underneath these 2 circle holes, and then we will start a bolt. And then we will do the same for the other hole as well. And then we'll leave these loose for now. Now we are going to loosen up the 2 bolts that are on the compressor itself. These are going to be a 4mm, and we don't want to back it up too far, just enough for us to slide this down into that bracket. And if you do end up taking this too far, there is a nut on the back of this that will fall off, so don't take it out too far. Just loosen it just enough so that way this will slide over it. Once you have those 2 bolts loosened up just enough, you can then lift up and get the bracket behind the bolt head. Then you can snug those down, and really this upper bracket isn't really going to hold any weight. This is going to just prevent the compressor from tilting forward and backwards. Now we are going to need the single long bolt that is in hardware bag that ends with the 4. With this plastic bracket, we are going to move it over, and then it'll drop into the same size hole that it was in when it was in the factory piece over here. And with that bolt, we can now start the hardware. Then we can fully fasten this bolt. Now we can fully fasten the 2 bolts on the upper compressor bracket as well. Then we can fully fasten the 2 bolts on the lower compressor bracket. I'm going to apply some pressure up just so that way the compressor sits a little bit higher up. Now you can fully fasten the 2 factory bolts on the A/B twin compressor. These are a 4mm Allen head. You can now reinstall this plastic piece. This little metal clip is going to be facing up. We will push the harness down just a little bit to get this guy down and around that. Then we will line it up and push it in place. Then you can reinstall the bolts for this plastic piece. Then we can now put this bracket back using the bolts that came out of it. Then we can fully fasten it. Now you will need to wire up your A or B compressor to either the switch that comes with the unit or to a switch pros, to an aux beam, S-Pod, or a Garmin power switch, whatever power solution you want to do for this. Since there is so many, we aren't going to show the install of this step. And then you also need to run the plumbing for the airline for this compressor as well. Now we are ready to install the bumper back on. You will bring it close, try to line it up like so. And then you can go to the side and then push these in place. Do the same to the other side. If your 4Runner is equipped with TSS, now would be a good time to plug that back in along with your fog lights. Now you can install the clips that are next to the headlights. Now you can also install all the clips that are behind the upper grille. Now you can install the single bolt from the upper grille into the plastic bracket. Then we can install the 2 bolts we took out earlier. That allows us to remove the bumper. Then we can fully fasten it. Now we can set the plastic cover back on. And to reset these clips so that way they go back in the holes, what you have to do is you'll push from the bottom, and that way they are raised on top. So now you can put the clip back in the hole and then just push it down enough so that way it's flush with the top, and this is how it'll lock the plastic piece in. We are going to put every clip in except for these 2 here. These 2 are going to be for the coupler mount and the hardware from the bag that ends with a 5. The way you install this, the 2 with the nuts will be towards the front of the vehicle. We are going to slide it in here, just like so. They will line up with the 2, and then we're not going between the plastic cover and the bracket that's underneath it. We're going underneath that bracket that is under the cover. So we're going under basically 2 pieces. The plastic fingers that are under there is actually to the radiator itself. So that's what is going to be supporting this piece. So again, just to show you, this is the coupler piece. This is the plastic cover, so it is not attached to that. It's actually attached to the radiator, the plastic radiator fingers, as you can see here. So it's going to be under that, and then the cover is going to go on top of that like it normally does, and then we will fasten it through the hole. Now we can install the bolt and the fender washer into the hole and down through the coupler bracket. Then you can fully fasten these bolts for the coupler bracket. And we're not going to go too crazy with this because it is going into plastic. So just remember when you guys are using the coupler to kind of hold this piece to attach your hose. So this bracket has 2 holes, so if you really wanted to, you could set 2 couplers, but realistically we just really need just 1. So this is a good time to attach your plumbing from your air compressor to your coupler. Then you'll have this location here to attach your air line. Now we are going to install the wheel well back into the bumper. And if yours clipped onto the liner, we're going to push that back a little bit. And then we're going to feed this front section. See if we can get both lined up. Once we have it lined up, then we can push, or pull I should say, towards us. Just like so. That lip should be over, attaching to the bumper, and then these, or this, is going to get the short screws. And then the 2 that we just fed in are going to get the short screw. The top hole, it will get the, I guess, longer screw. And then you can come back with a ratchet or a Phillips just to make sure that you have it tight enough and you don't over tighten it. On the driver's side, our liner did not take those clips, but it's easy to fix. We're going to shove it back there and then just pull it towards us, basically seating it back into those 2 clips there. And then once again, these 2 bottom ones will get these short screws. And then the top one will get the longer screw. And then underneath, we put all the screws back. And then the center ones are going to be the bolts.